What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Darren's Competitive Pokemon. Finally back with Greninja Break. I know I've been a little neglectful of this very powerful archetype, so I apologize, guys and girls. This is, a very good archetype. I mean, Greninja Break got second place at the Hartford, Connecticut Regional Championships. Is definitely still a powerhouse in standard format. It's got a lot of things going for it. I mean, just great matchups all around, and is supposed to win against Volcanion, even though obviously we saw Igor had other plans at Hartford, Connecticut. This is just a very good deck, and if you are able to get this thing to set up and get rolling with your giant water shurikens, there's very little in the game that can stop it, aside from maybe a Golisopod Garbodor deck. Now, that being said, Golisopod Garbodor is on the it's on the decline. I don't think that it is quite the popular version of Garbodor to run anymore. I think people are going to be playing Buzzwole Garbodor. I think people are going to be playing your Drampa Garbodor as well. And I think they're going to be putting their Golisopod Garbodors as way, just because Volcanion has proven itself to be such a powerhouse archetype in standard format. So this is my buddy's Greninja deck. He whooped me with it a bunch last night. It takes a lot from that second place regional Greninja list as well. Obviously the Espeon, Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele thing, actually playing some Pokemon GX in a Greninja list takes a lot from that second place list from Hartford. So let's take a look at what makes Greninja work in the current standard format, why it's so good. Start off with 3 copies of Greninja Break, 4 copies of your Greninja, 4 copies of Frogadier, and 4 copies of Froakie. We also play a 1/1 Starmie line, 1 Tapu Lele GX, 1 Tapu Fini GX, and 1 Espeon EX. So this is it for the cast. Basically, your entire game plan is to set up as many of these frogs as possible. You're going to be setting up a Giant Water Shuriken, Greninja Break. You're going to use that Giant Water Shuriken to just snipe 60 damage with your water energy anywhere on your opponent's side of the field. 170 hit points for a non-EX, non-GX. It's just stupid big. I mean, that's really massive. And it's very difficult for a lot of opponents to be able to hit this number, especially without the aid of Choice Band, since Choice Band is only adds damage to Pokemon EX and Pokemon GX. So Greninja Break, awesome. Giant Water Shuriken, totally fantastic ability. Combine Giant Water Shuriken with Shadow Stitching, you can stop your opponent's abilities from working. So that's super good against decks like Decidueye. It's very good against decks like Volcanion as well, who want to be boosting their damage against you to hit that 170 mark. It's also very good against Gardevoir GX. It's very good against Metagross GX. It's pretty much good against almost everything. It's even good in the mirror. You need to Shadow Stitch over and over again in the mirror. Shutting off your opponent's abilities with an attack that costs 1 colorless energy is totally insane. So it's very good. You can easily Shadow Stitching for 70 damage with the help of Choice Band, and with Giant Water Shuriken, you could definitely add up lots of damage on your opponent's side of the board while also locking their abilities. So that's very good. And then Moonlight Slash has a lot of synergy with Giant Water Shuriken. Obviously, someone at the card creation team just, made these 2 cards to go hand in hand. They go very well together. Moonlight Slash, you get to do 60 plus 20 more if you return the water energy to your hand. If you do, you do 80 damage total, 110 with the Choice Band. And then what's cool is you get that water energy back. Then you can use it for Giant Water Shuriken next turn if you want to. So you want to set up as many Greninjas as you can. Ideally, you want a board position where you can Giant Water Shuriken with 1 Greninja, retreat for free, Giant Water Shuriken with another Greninja, since they has to be in the active position in order to work, and then attack using Moonlight Slash or Shadow Stitching or something like that. We also play a 1/1 line of Starmie, and Starmie is just so good in this deck for that Space Beacon ability, being able to trade one of the cards in your hand for 2 water energies from the discard pile. Obviously, Giant Water Shuriken is going to be discarding a lot of water energies, and in order to keep up the damage throughout the course of the game, you want to be able to get them back into your hand, and Starmie allows you to do that. So you're going to want to be able to set up your 1/1 Starmie line. I'm not playing a copy of Gladion in here. You could play a copy of Gladion in here if you really wanted to go hunt out your 1/1 Starmie line, but I do think this list is pretty packed. There's not a lot of room for luxuries in here, and I think that I do like everything that is in this list right now. But if you found something you wanted to cut, maybe you could put a Gladion in here to help get your Starmies back, to help get your Frogadiers back, and things like that. We do play one copy of Tapu Lele so that you could search out a Gladian if you wanted to. But this card, obviously, Greninja's biggest problem is that it just draws some totally bad hands sometimes. I mean, since we don't have a lot of draw support in here in the form of Octillery or Zoroark GX or anything like that, not even in Oranguru, sometimes this deck could just get some bad hands. Tapu Lele at least gives us an option to turn our Ultra Balls into supporters for turn. So we do appreciate having Tapu Lele here. However, we will mostly just keep him in the deck unless we absolutely need him, and that's what he's here for. In case you absolutely need to draw out of a dead hand and you have an Ultra Ball, we do have a copy of Tapu Lele GX in here. You could think of it as more or less like a safety net. We also have Tapu Fini GX, great for that Tapu Storm GX attack, being able to toss the opponent's defending Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the deck. If your opponent happens to get a very big Gardevoir GX or something like that rolling, before you're able to get Shadow Stitching online, you could Tapu Storm GX, throw that Gardevoir GX back into the deck, and then hopefully before your opponent can get another big Gardevoir GX back, you can retreat and start Shadow Stitching again so they cannot accelerate their energy. So it's very good in this deck. Love being able to just take care of your opponent's big attacker. A lot of times they'll try to get one big attacker up and going quickly in order to just mow through Greninjas, Frogadiers, and the like. But Tapu Storm GX pretty much says, hey, pump the brakes there, go back to where you came from, and just gets you set up. I mean, a lot of times I'll find that you water duplicates, and then the turn after water duplicates, while you're evolving into your Greninjas, you might want to go up and Tapu Storm GX to toss whatever attacker your opponent has built up into the deck. We also play a copy of Espeon EX in here. It's pretty new to the cast in Greninja Break. I hadn't seen anybody playing this until Connecticut Regionals in here, but it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we do have the ability to devolve Pokemon and, just take advantage of their weaker, basics and stage 1 evolutions underneath of the stage 2 evolutions or stage 1 evolutions. We could take advantage of that with Giant Water Shuriken, does 60 perfect damage to knock out something like a Ralts on de-evolution. So we do appreciate the Espeon EX in here as well. However, with 3 copies of Pokemon EX and GX, it kind of goes against the whole, style of Greninja, which is just to promote a non-EX, non-GX attacker and have no EXs or GXs on the board and make your opponent take 6 difficult prizes. However, these guys just add so much to the deck that they're definitely worth including, in my opinion. Moving on to the supporters, we do play 4 copies of Professor Sycamore, 4 copies of N, 2 copies of Lily, 1 copy of Skyla, and that is it. So there's no copy of Guzma in here right now. If you wanted to, I could see replacing the 1 copy of Skyla with a Guzma. This is my buddy's list. Like I said, I do think I like 1 copy of Guzma in Greninja Break decks just so that you have the option to bring something up to finish it off, especially with that Tapu Lele. However, Skyla adds to the consistency. We do have the option to Giant Water Shuriken, so you don't necessarily need a Guzma in this deck, but it is an option. Lily is just a nice little additional supporter to have in order to just draw cards, refill your hand. I mean, this is pretty much just, because we got Professor Sycamore, we got N. At one point, I saw that there's that new supporter is going to be released. It's like Shuffle Draw 6. It's like the old Professor Oak's new theory. That will definitely go in here in place of these lilies, once we do get that supporter out. But for now, Lily will do as that, as that draw. And Skyla does help search out some of our one-of items, especially, and not that Field Blower is a one-of, but it does help us search out our Field Blower as well in the Garbodor matchup. So we do appreciate it for that. Also, we have a Max Potion and we got a Max Potion in here that could be good to search this out with, and a copy of Enhanced Hammer. So both of those are very good to search out with Skyla too. Moving on to the items, we play 4 copies of Ultra Ball, 3 copies of Field Blower. I really like that for the Garbodor matchup. 3 Evo Soda, 2 Rescue Stretcher, 2 Choice Band, 1 Enhanced Hammer, 1 Max Potion, and 3 Brooklet Hill. Brooklet Hill is very good just for being able to get Froakies out on the first turn of the game. Also for getting that Staryu out without burning through your Ultra Balls and things like that. This is pretty much, you think of it like Level Ball. I mean, this is getting all your water Pokemon, all your basic water Pokemon, your little basic waters are going to be searchable via Brooklet Hill. You put it into play, you can get your Staryu, you could go get another Froakie. It just boosts the consistency of the deck, so I do love Brooklet Hill in here. We also play 4 copies of Ultra Ball, which you're going to want to use to just search out your Pokemon. You want to set up as many Greninja breaks as you can. That's why Brooklet Hill is so important. Just being able to get things like Froakie and Staryu just so that you don't get your one Froakie knocked out. A lot of times you want to start Froakie, get a second Froakie on the bench just in case. And 4 copies of Ultra Ball helps you to find things like your Frogadier, your Greninjas, Greninja Breaks, and also just to get your one of GX Pokemon like your Tapu Lele, your Espeon EX, and your Tapu Fini GX. Evo Soda is a nice free evolution card. We do like that since we don't have Dive Ball anymore. Evo Soda does get in there pretty good, just doesn't, operate in the exact same way because you cannot get your basic water Pokemon, which is where Brooklet Hill comes into place. But you can get all of your evolutions with Evo Soda so long as you have a basic that evolves into that Pokemon in play. So Evo Soda, nice free evolution Pokemon. You really don't want to be always discarding with Ultra Ball, so Evo Soda gets the job done for that. I love 3 copies of Field Blower in here just for that Garbodor matchup. Garbodor could be very tough, shutting off your giant Water Shuriken. You could really get yourself into some trouble if you don't have access to multiple Field Blowers. So 3 Field Blower and a Skyla really helps that Garbodor matchup. Garbodor is one of your worst matchups, so I do really vouch for the 3 copies of Field Blower in here. We also play 1 copy of Enhanced Hammer, 1 copy of Max Potion. Enhanced Hammer is just so good. I was getting my butt kicked by this card time and time again when I was testing against this list. Got burned by Max Potion as well. Searchable via Skyla. Sometimes you're tanking with a Greninja Break and all you want to do is just clear the damage and just continue using Moonlight Slash. Max Potion can help you do that. Enhanced Hammer can help you slow down your opponent if they got a big Gardevoir GX or something like that that is threatening your Pokemon, or even a Drampa. Enhanced Hammer can just pump the brakes on your opponent. I like having the 1-1 split. Just nice little options to have some spice in the deck so your opponent might not see those cards coming. We also play 2 copies of Choice Band. If you had room, you would play more just because Choice Band is so good in this deck for boosting those damage numbers. Being able to Shadow Stitch for 70 or Moonlight Slash for up to 110 is just great, great numbers. So we do play 2 copies of Choice Band and then 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher. Now, I've seen some lists play up to like 4 copies of Rescue Stretcher. 2 is like a minimum. We are playing some sauce in here. You can see with the Enhanced Hammer and Max Potion and even the Brooklet Hills. Not every list is playing Brooklet Hill either. So, you could cut one of these if you wanted another Rescue Stretcher in this list, but 2 is like kind of your minimum. This is about as low as you want to go on the Rescue Stretcher front. We do play some Splash Energies as well, so it's not the only recovery card we have, but just know that I would not go any lower than 2 since you want to just be throwing your Greninjas back into play as soon as they get knocked out, which is just super annoying for the opponent to deal with. Moving on to the energy, this list is playing 3 copies of Splash Energy. I've seen all the way up to 4, so you could play 4 if you wanted to. And we are playing 7 copies of Water. I mean, this is pretty low as well. I would not go any lower than 7 copies of Water since you want to be hitting your giant Water Shuriken, but 7 will get the job done, especially with the help of Starmie being able to recycle them throughout the course of the game. Splash Energy, just making it so that your Pokemon, when a Frogadier gets knocked out, something like that, when a Greninja gets knocked out, you're able to just bring them back and put them right back into play is just so very good. So I do like this energy count. Seems to work out just fine in Greninja Break. And that's it for my Greninja Break deck. Thank you all for watching the video. Let me know what you guys think of this list and Greninja Break in the comments below. Thank you all for checking out the channel. Really appreciate the support. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Peace.